Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to the Week 9 Steelers preview. I'm your host, Jim Sella, here with Jay Dash. The Pittsburgh Steelers are coming off the bye week. It's always a boring week when the Steelers are on the bye, but it's usually the weekend during the football season that I actually get something accomplished. Otherwise, I just sit there and watch football all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So it's actually kind of a good thing for me, too.
So what'd you get accomplished?
Exactly. I cleaned and I cut my dog's hair and I brushed him and bathed them all.
Okay, so you don't do that unless there's no Steeler game?
Believe it. So the Steelers, Tomlin's 9th year. Well, this is his 10th year, but in the 9 previous years, the Steelers are 6-3 coming off the bye. They lost the first one in 2007 to the Broncos. They won 6 in a row, and then they've lost the last 2. The Saints beat them in 2014, 35-32. The Seahawks beat them last year, 39-30, in that big game for Marcus Wheaton, pretty much the only game he's ever played well in his entire career.
Those are some big matchups.
The Steelers have had some interesting records. They were above 500 the first, 5 years of Tomlin's career going into the bye. But then in 2012, they were 1-2. They had a bye week, came back, beat the Eagles. 2013, they were 0-4, had their bye week, came back, beat the Jets. Dash, you were the only one who had any faith, I think, in 2013 when they were 0-4. I think pretty much everybody wrote them off.
Believe it. And they got screwed in the end.
Believe it. The last 2 years against the Saints, they came into that game 7-4, and against the Seahawks, they came into that game 6-4. They headed 4-3 into the bye week this year. They're still in first place in that division. Cincinnati has a tie on their record now, so that always will come into play. A couple years ago, I think Cincinnati had a tie, and we said that that could come in to hurt them, when it came to tiebreakers or win percentage or whatnot, trying to get to the division lead. So that's good for Pittsburgh. Baltimore is on, a 4 or 5 game losing streak?
4.
4-game losing streak, so that's good. The Steelers are actually going into Baltimore this week here in Week 9, so we could try to make it 5. The biggest question is, will Ben Roethlisberger play in this game?
Yeah, that is the biggest question, and it's going to be key that he plays. I think that's a big difference in whether they win this game or whether they lose this game. But another key is how can they play on the road even if Ben is healthy, because they have not looked good on the road outside of Week 1, which was a primetime game against the Washington Redskins. Other than that, they've been terrible on the road, getting blown out.
Can you guess what the Steelers' record is since 2012 on the road?
Including
35 games.
How many games?
35 total games.
35 total games. I'll say 16-19.
Yeah, you're dead on.
Nice.
Under 500.
Yeah, it sounds right, man. That's pretty much when did Todd Haley come here?
4 years ago, I think 2012.
So there you go. It makes sense. Todd Haley's offense does not work on the road.
Yeah. That's it.
I'm not even joking, dude.
Yeah, Todd Haley's garbage, man. We score a lot of points at home, but we just never, ever, ever play well on the road.
Yeah, and that's what has me worried in this game. And you look over the past 2 games, the Pittsburgh Steelers on the ground got torched. Jay Ajayi over 200 yards, LeGarrette Blount in their last game. So they got to step up and be able to stop the run. If they don't stop the run in this game, I don't care if Ben plays or not. I think they're going to lose.
No, the Steelers are 2-4 in Roethlisberger's first games back after injury. I pulled this information from the postgazette.com, so if it's not right, you can blame them. Roethlisberger, in his career, when he's playing just normal, he's got a 63.9 completion percentage. He averages 247 yards passing per game, and he's thrown 255 touchdown passes and 133 interceptions. In games coming back from injury, he dips down to 59.5, 192 yards per game, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And I don't remember for sure what I read, but we're 1-5 or something like that in our last 6 against Baltimore. So all these numbers add up to this could be a lot harder of a game than most Steeler fans think.
And, well, you got to look. Ben missed last year's game. That was the game Michael Vick played. And actually, I remember Antonio Brown dropping a touchdown pass in that game, and they ended up losing by a couple points. That could have been a game winner. So they could have had to win there, but there was no Ben Roethlisberger there. So, like I said, if Landry Jones plays in this game, I'm going to go ahead and say Baltimore wins. If Ben plays, I still think it depends on stopping the run. But it's more than just Ben offensively. I mean, we got to see Sammy Coates step back up. Early in the year, he was playing great, and it definitely showed with their offense. But over the past few weeks, now that he had that hand injury, he's kind of disappeared from this offense, and you can really tell a big difference. I mean, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, we know that they're the best players on this offense and the ones you want to get the ball to. But you need more than that. You need more options. Marcus Wheaton has been injured. Eli Rogers was injured, and since he came back, he really hasn't got involved. There needs to be more than just Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Even D'Angelo Williams, get him involved a little bit more. He's been injured as well. Now, I'm hearing they're starting to get a little bit healthier from this bye week offensively, and that includes Marcus Gilbert's coming back, correct?
Yes.
So this offense...
Cam Hayward.
Yeah, Cam Hayward defensively, but I'm talking about this offense. It looks like they're finally coming back healthy, and I'm hoping Sammy Coates had this 2-week stretch where they're not playing football. He had time to heal when he comes back, steps up and has a 4 or 5 catch game with one of those big catches and maybe even a touchdown.
Yeah, definitely. With his injury, giant laceration on your hand, the dude just needed time not catching footballs to let it heal. It's nothing you would think long term, and by now it should heal. Stitches, all that stuff, it holds it together. Doctors put all kinds of weird stuff on there, makes that heal up real nice. So he should be ready to go. Is he going to be a big impact coming back with Landry Jones? I don't know. Is Landry Jones a quarterback? Is he going to be able to hit Sammy on those deep passes? Does he have the arm? We've never really seen Landry successful with a deep ball through the air. He's had a lot of catch and run deep balls with Martavis Bryant and Antonio Brown, but will Landry Jones be able to push the ball downfield if he's the quarterback?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's what I'm saying. If Ben's back, that's what we need to see. If he's not back, we seen it last week. Landry Jones didn't even want to go downfield. He was just throwing those short passes. But I'll tell you, in the playoffs last season, the game that they got knocked out, Sammy Coates did have a couple short catches that he took at 20 yards or something running past the defense. So he can do it too. So even if that's what Landry Jones has to do is throw those short passes, throw some of them to Sammy Coates too. Open things up a little bit.
Now, I've seen a lot of social media, people were screaming that the Steelers are riding Le'Veon Bell too much, and it's the reason he's been getting injured. I don't agree with that statement because his injuries have all been on like a big play. They're not, perfect, especially. They're not wear and tear injuries. He's not pulling a hammy or anything like that. Do I think they need to be worried about him getting injured? Yes, but you can't really worry about any of these players getting injured. You got to let them play football. So everybody's screaming to get D'Angelo Williams more carries. I just don't see that happening. That's not Mike Tomlin's way. He has one back. He runs one back. And then really you can look at it from both perspectives. You can say if you run Le'Veon too much, he's going to get hurt, and then you're only going to have D'Angelo. Okay, well, D'Angelo's a good backup, but then they run him a lot, and then he got hurt, just like last year. Well, if you're playing them both at the same time or playing them both a lot, don't they now both have the equal opportunity to get injured even at the same time or even in the same game? So really, you can't let injuries dictate how you play a player. You just got to let it play out and hope for the best.
I will say, when you give a guy the ball more, there's more opportunities to get hurt. Like you said, it's not from wear and tear necessarily. But if a guy touches the ball 15 times and another guy touches the ball 35 times, the guy that has the ball 35 times has a better shot to get hit in the head, you know what I mean? So you never know that way. But I will say, a reason why I'm losing my interest in football over the years is because there's supposed to be that guy you give the ball to over 300 times a season. That happened all throughout NFL history. Nowadays, it's unheard of almost, and I hate that. I want to see those feature players.
Yeah, there was another article from I don't know. I don't want to say any names because I don't know who it was, and I don't want to credit the wrong people. But they were basically saying the two-back system is the way to go, and that the Steelers need to learn how to do that. It might even have been in the same article, but it just I don't like it either. I'm not saying you shouldn't have two good backs. You should have a good backup at every position, and obviously is every team's goal. But I like running Levy on as much as they do. I like giving him the touches that they give him because he's the most dynamic player on our offense, and he gives us the best chance to win when the football's in his hands. So I don't have a problem with the way they do it. And like I said a couple minutes ago, he took two big hits from Burfict, and it's not like he just got worn out or slowed down towards the end of the year. So that could have happened if he carried the ball one time in that game. It could have happened on the first carry. So I'm not buying into that.
Either way you look at it, man, whether Landry Jones plays or Big Ben plays, I don't think it's going to be a game that they go out there and play great offensively. You look, the Baltimore Ravens, I know they don't have the defense that they used to have, but they're still, in points allowed, the best defense in this division still. They only let up 139 points defensively on the season. Now it's the other side of the ball that they've really had their problems on this season. They are last in the division in points scored with 133 points. And some of that has to do with Steve Smith being injured. And Justin Forsett was a good running back last season. He's gone now. And they got Terrence West as their lead back out there. So the offense looks a little bit different. And the big difference to me is Joe Flacco. I mean, ever since they gave him that contract, he seems to be taking a small step back each season, and he's just not the type of quarterback that they hoped they were signing. And really, looking at what this offense has done this season, they're just not good. I mean, they started out 3-0, but look, man, they beat the Bills in week 1. Okay, week 1, anything can happen. After that, they beat the Browns and the Jaguars to start 3-0. Big flip. Now, they lost 4 in a row. They played one good team, I guess, and the rest are mediocre to bad. They lost to the Raiders for their first loss of the season by 1 point. So that's the one loss that I'd accept as a Baltimore fan. But they lost to the Redskins, the Giants, and the Jets since. This offense is just not good with Joe Flacco under center this season. Like I said, a lot of it has to do with Steve Smith being out a lot of the season, because we've seen he was actually injured to start the season. You remember he got injured last year. He had a slow start to the season, but he was still being targeted a ton. And right when he was starting to hit his stride, he went back down. Now, I am hearing that he has a possible chance to play this week, and I think that could be a big boost for Baltimore. But without him, I mean, who is it? It's Kamar Aiken, Brashard Perryman, and Mike Wallace is their big addition this season. He's been their biggest add to me. He's leading the team with 490 yards receiving, has 3 touchdowns, and I think that's a guy that can beat this defense, because if you look over the past a few times they played Baltimore, Steve Smith really hasn't done much when he was healthy. I think he has something like 130 yards in his last 3 games, no touchdowns against Pittsburgh. So Mike Wallace would be the guy that I look at on this offense, because he can beat you deep, and Joe Flacco, at least he does have that big arm. So, our D-backs, they can be beat. So Mike Wallace could get past that defense a couple times, and that could be a big difference in his game.
Especially with the inexperienced defensive backs the Steelers have, they could get beat on a little in and out or in and up, or however Wallace does it. I mean, usually just run straight. So even then, if they turn their hips the wrong way, Wallace has the type of speed that he can get separation on one step and turn it into 3. And Flacco always seems to connect with at least one deep ball against that Steelers defense each time we play him, especially down there in Baltimore. Let's switch it up to the Steelers defense. They were also marred by injury, just like the offense. Cam Hayward's been out the last few weeks. The Steelers defense got run all over by Jay Ajayi for over 200 yards. The New England Patriots rushed for damn near 200 yards, maybe even a little bit more. They didn't even need to throw the ball 30 times, did they? Did Brady even throw it 30 times?
No.
No, and then they pretty much ran all over the Steelers score-wise, but any way that they wanted to. You had Lawrence Timmons missed a little bit of time. Ryan Shazier's missed time. Bud Dupree's out. Jarvis Jones is actually probably having his best year, although he's really not getting to the pass or getting to the quarterback too much. You've had Golden missed time. Even Dangerfield's played a little banged up. Shamarko Thomas has been hurt. I keep hearing that Mike Mitchell's playing hurt, but who really cares about that guy anyway, honestly? Artie Burns was hurt in the preseason, so he missed a little bit of time. So he's struggling to make a little bit of a comeback. Cockrell and Gay have been, healthy pretty much. Sean Davis was hurt. All these guys in and out of the lineup, not all at once, but Hayward coming back, I think, is the biggest addition. I don't think that the Ravens will be able to run as well as these other teams did the last 2 weeks. I think Hayward is the big reason why the Steelers defense can handle that bend but don't break, because he keeps those running backs, straight up. He keeps them in the backfield. If you're only giving up 70 yards rushing, but you're giving up 290, 300 yards passing, it's really not as big as a deal as what people think. It's not like you're giving up 500 total yards a game. Offenses gain yards in football right now, and as long as you keep them out of the end zone, which the Steelers defense was able to do when they were healthy, then they're able to win football games.
Yeah, and
so
it's hard to force turnovers when all they're doing is putting the ball on the ground.
Yeah, because you got to get the ball out of somebody's hand, and it's way harder to do that than it is to get an interception. And people keep complaining about the blitz, and I finally, Keith Butler came out and just said it. He said, "Listen, guys, we don't have the secondary to be able to blitz right now. These guys are young. They're banged up. If we rush more than 4 guys, they're exposed and we're going to get beat. This is the type of defense we have to run until we're healthy. We just can't do it." The real problem is they need to get better pressure when they rush 4. It's not necessarily they need to blitz more. They just need to get more pressure. They can't blitz more, so the 4 that do rush have to get the pressure. And I know that's a lot harder, but teams do it all the time. Look at the New York Giants when they won their 2 Super Bowls. They rarely blitz. They run a lot of cover 2. They just rush with those front 4. And I know the Steelers don't have a lot of pass rush in their front 4. You have Tuitt and Hayward who can get to the quarterback. Hopefully Hargrave can get to the quarterback a little bit. He's still young. But you're not really going to see McCullers or Ricardo Matthews or L.T. Walton really get to the quarterback too much. But they just got to find a way to get it done with 4. They can't rush 5. Maybe when the whole defense is healthy, you can start dialing up blitzes from all over the place again. But as of right now, it's just not the type of defense that they can play.
Yeah, but it does come back full circle, because if you don't get that pressure, you're not forcing the quarterback into making bad throws and getting the defense to get some turnovers as well. You're not getting the sack. So it all comes back full circle on you too, though, man. It sucks.
Yeah, well, we've seen it work with the Andy Daltons and the Kirk Cousins. We were able to keep them out of the end zone enough, and our offense was, well, obviously it had been Roethlisberger then, but our offense was able to score more points. When you go against Brady, I mean, the Steelers Brady kills us no matter what. We've had great defenses, and he's still carved us up. So I'm not going to panic too much that he was able to be as efficient as he was. To me, it was the Steelers not being able to stop the run. And we talked about it in the Steelers-Patriots recap. We both agree that Brady would have just threw all over them if they had to throw the football more. But I'm not going to base my view of the Steelers' defense on that game. Some of us made that mistake last year when they opened the season and completely blew it and looked like their defense was going to be the worst defense in the history of the NFL, maybe even the AFL. But they squared things away and they got to the playoffs. So it's more the Patriots game is the exception, not the rule. And with Hayward back, I really think you're going to see an improved play by this defense. And this being a rivalry game altogether, I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way.
Well, let's hope they start to get a little bit healthier on the defense. It looks like they are starting to get a little bit more healthier, but it all depends on the run. Now, I don't think Terrence West is going to be non-existent in this game, but I do hope they are better than they've shown the past 2 games, like you were saying. So, over or under 74 yards from Terrence West?
I'm going to say over because he's on my fantasy team and I need him to do good.
Okay, see, that scares me, though. I think over 74 yards, I think Pittsburgh will end up losing this game, whether Ben plays or not. Because we know, even with Ben, they haven't played well on the road. And when you can't stop the run, it's just set up for a disaster.
Believe it.
Okay, Sammy Coates, over or under 4 catches?
I think it's going to push. I think he has 4 catches. If Landry plays, he'll have 4 catches for 80 yards. If Ben plays, he could end up with 4 catches for like $110.
I'll go with you on the 4 catches, but if Landry plays, I'll say 4 catches for 26 yards.
Maybe Coates will break a tackle. That's why I'm giving him the extra yards.
All right.
What else you got for me?
One more. Joe Flacco sacked over or under 1.5 times.
How many times for the Steelers get to Flacco?
Yeah.
Ooh. With
1.5.
Hayward back, I say we get to him 2 times, so over 1.5.
All right. What's your key to victory in this game?
Mike Tomlin tripping the Baltimore receiver when he catches a deep pass from Joe Flacco. No, if Ben Roethlisberger is the quarterback, and this is going to sound weird, run the football well. Because like we went over at the beginning of this episode, Roethlisberger doesn't play that well in games back from injury. From what I've talked to Brandon about, he's not saying that Ben can't play in this game or can't come back from this game, but he's also saying that NFL players do things that they might not necessarily a regular person would be doing. So even if Ben's coming back in this game, even if he's healthy enough to play, that doesn't necessarily mean he's 100%. Roethlisberger tends to be a little erratic in his passing when he's not 100%. He's a big guy. He has a big, wide base. That's a lot of weight on a knee that's insecure. So he's going to have to see how he feels through practice. So if he's the quarterback, run the football well and stop the run.
What if he's not?
Because if he's not the quarterback, I honestly think they should let Landry Jones sling it around a little bit. I mean, he threw the ball 40-something times against the Patriots. It wasn't terrible. I'm not saying it was good. Believe me, I'm not saying he's the savior. I'm not saying he's the next quarterback. Nothing like that.
Yeah, he sucks.
But if he did suck, but also is it the offense? Are they giving him the real offense? Because we know he knows it, but are they allowing him to really run it?
That's
is he
the
allowed to make audibles at the line?
That's the problem with me, though, man. Is he's been around this long. This is why they wanted to keep him as the backup, because he knows the offense, and then you're not giving him. I mean, I don't know if it's they're not giving him the full playbook or he's just not wanting to use it. But, I mean, it makes no sense. You might as well just get an old veteran, you know?
I understand. And I read an article today before we came on the air that said that Zach Mettenberger is kind of splitting some reps with Landry as far as their first team reps go. But it in no way means that Mettenberger has a chance to start, even if Ben's not there, nor does it really mean that he has a chance to play. They just want him to be ready for injury. Apparently, Mettenberger looks terrible in practice from this article. I forget who it was. I think it was a Trib writer. So I don't see Mettenberger sticking around much past this year. I think that they liked him better what they had as their third string quarterback just in case. And they also seen Landry get hurt pretty easily after Roethlisberger gets hurt. He's kind of like the Steelers' Geno Smith, finally gets a chance to play and then gets hurt. So, yeah, I'm not saying I have a lot of faith, but I'm not scared of that Baltimore defense anymore. They're definitely nowhere near the defense they were in the Ray Lewis era or even when Terrell Suggs was playing at his best. He's hurt. I don't even think he's playing, right? He's out for the year.
Who?
Terrell Suggs. He's always hurt.
Terrell Suggs is talking here. He's talking about the possibility of Ben playing, but it says nothing about him being hurt. I do know that there are a couple injuries on this defense, though. Steve Smith, he's not practicing yet, but like I said, he could come back. And linebacker C.J. Mosley returned to practice after missing 2 games, so he could be back. Still, Elmas Dumerville is another one not practicing right now, so he may not be in this game.
Yeah, Dumerville will be a big loss for the Ravens. He's the guy that can really get to the quarterback. I think with Gilbert back and Villanueva's playing pretty good, I think, for a second-year left tackle. The only real worry I have on the offensive line is why has David DeCastro kind of seemed like he declined this year a little bit. Maybe he's playing with an injury that nobody knows about. But I think the Steelers' offensive line, if they don't have Dumerville, should be able to hold up to whatever quarterback's back there. And I think Landry has all right pocket presence, maybe one of his better attributes. So he doesn't hold on to the ball too long. He seems to get rid of it when he needs to. So I'm not too worried about the Ravens' pass rush, especially without Dumerville. Screw that dude.
My key to victory is focus on 2 players defensively. You got to stay behind Mike Wallace. Don't let him get behind you. And like you said, you think they're going to do an okay job against the run. That's it. You got to go out there and stop the run. So stop Terrence West and don't let Mike Wallace behind you. Like I said, Steve Smith hasn't done much against the Steelers the past few times out, and he's coming back off of an injury if he does play. So those are the 2 guys I'd look at. And if you were able to stop those 2, this offense isn't very good. So I think there's a shot in this game. But if Landry's the quarterback, I mean, you got to hold them to 14 points or less, I think. But if Ben plays, you still got to hold them to 23 or less because, like I said, even if Ben plays, they're not a 30-point per game offense.
My key to victories vary depending on the quarterback. If it is Landry Jones, I think the Steelers defense has got to get a turnover, whether it be a fumble or an interception. They got to get 1 or 2 turnovers. They got to give Landry and that offense a short field, help them out a little bit. I understand Jones should be able to do this with the long term, and he hasn't really lived up to the hype. But I'm a realist. I know he's not going to come out and be Superman. He's also not the worst backup in the league. He may be somewhere in the bottom half, but I don't think he's the worst. If the defense can give him a couple short fields, give him a couple short chances at some touchdowns, even maybe some field goals, I think that goes a long way to helping the Steelers win. If Roethlisberger is the quarterback, it's run the football and just stop the run, really. Control the line of scrimmage, basically. Don't make Ben win the game for you because he struggles in games when he comes back from injury, and then he tends to try to do too much, and then he throws interceptions that he normally wouldn't throw.
So what's your final score? Give me both. Ben plays, Ben doesn't play.
Okay, Landry at quarterback. I think Pittsburgh loses 19-16.
Okay.
Roethlisberger at quarterback. I think Pittsburgh could squeak out a victory 21-17. Maybe 20-17 with a late field goal.
I'm right around you there, man. I won't even say. Well, I'll give you a score. 22-14 Baltimore if Landry plays. And if Big Ben plays, 23-17 Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's not going to be a lot. It's never really a big gap in score between these two teams, no matter who the quarterback is. So it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a nail-biter. The best news is they're playing the game locally where I'm at because I'm close to Baltimore. So, again, I will be able to watch it on the television and instead of having to stream it.
Ball.
Believe it.
You still got another game later this season too then, huh?
Believe that.
Nice.
It's the nice thing about being close to home. Still get a couple. What do you think about Keith Butler real quick? Is he on the hot seat? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. They got to give him the players.
Agreed. Fans, any questions, comments, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube and clicking subscribe. 1 million subscribers now. We're making America great again, just like Trump, baby.